Okay, great. Please, anyone, hit us.
I just want to say, what a fantastic presentation, amazing energy. Who does your slides? I'd love to know.
We do it in-house.
Awesome work. I think the bit that I lost is that, firstly, I think you're going to ask a similar question, is how, as a consumer in my house, how do I actually use this? Because I'm just used to receiving a bill, and I don't know how to get my electricity, and do I need some new technology, or what needs to happen there? And second is, I think that hurdle is going to be hard enough, but making people buy the token is going to make it, it's going to be very hard to get traction if they have to have the token as well.
All right, let me address it really quickly. So the first question is actually the easiest, right? You don't need any new technology. In a liberalized market, what happens is the government's taken all its parts and sold it off, and that's it. In the Singapore context, all the generators have been sold off. They are all owned by different private companies right now. There's 7 generation companies in Singapore. 4 of them are foreign owned, right? So what does the government hold on to? The grid, the infrastructure that delivers the power to your home, to your offices, to your buildings. So that infrastructure is plugged in and you change nothing. What you're gonna buy is a settlement contract. And out of that settlement contract, you will get massive savings against your power bill. Right now, our commercial customers, right, when they buy power from the state tariff, they pay the SP tariff price. But when they buy power from a private retailer, the discounts are between 25 to 30+%. Now that's 25 to 30+% month on your power bill. Now, is that incentive for you to switch? It would be for me. Now the second thing is, would consumers want to buy the token to use it? Yes, and here's why. The cost to serve these contracts on a month-to-month basis is going to skyrocket with the domestic market because the volume of consumption is smaller, but the same cost is executed, right? You're still going to call the guy, send the guy a bill, chase him for payments, and so on and so forth. It's to process all these payments. So that cost exponentially goes up with the domestic market. But if we have a system that saves on that cost, then passes it on to you, I reckon you'd pay attention. You'd say, hey, how do I get a piece of that?
Yeah, just to add on one more point on adoption of the coin. I think it's a very common question amongst all ICOs or any blockchain company that wants to be scalable. The question is how do you ensure that the man on the street is savvy enough to buy crypto token, for example. So I think what we're doing here is we are working very closely with our payments company to integrate multiple forms of payment so that the transaction layer between fiat and the elect token, which is an access token, becomes as seamless as possible. So of course, if you are a savvy crypto guy, you can just transfer your tokens over to our wallet. But if you're just someone who's not so familiar with crypto, you can just register your credit card to buy the required number of elect tokens.
Hi, this is Eric Benz.
Hi.
Hello, just a couple questions coming from the I guess the consumer perspective. I'm a consumer. I use electricity. I wake up every day and I accept 5% because it's convenient, because I have other things to deal with, because I know that I don't have to actually think about it. So what I'd like to know from the actual objectives, as far as the not the token or the utility, but the actual objectives in terms of how the integration is concerned within the legacy infrastructure, the interoperability components of your efficiency. That, from a consumer perspective, doesn't matter, because I just want to keep doing my thing. So, I mean, we see a lot of the different plays, obviously, with how we want to commercialize or make things more efficient as far as the electricity or any other type of utility is concerned. But from a consumer perspective, you know, it seems a lot harder to convince than anything else. So obviously, it's all very nebulous and nascent still in terms of kind of how it's going to play out. But what makes you guys, I guess, different than the rest? And not with the token or anything. I think it's more about the narrative and how you want to go about implementing the actual product.
I think So your question is about how seamless is it, how easy is it for people to adopt our platform? I think, I mean, we've been in business since the start of the year. We have come across all different types of consumers. Some of them want really convenient, they don't want to think about price, they just want us to do everything for them. Some of them want to be very involved. Some others want to be to really understand where the source of energy comes from. So I think what we are trying to do here is to address as wide a spectrum of consumers as possible. So this hasn't been very much released yet. One of our plans for next year for the residential market is what we call Electrify. So Electrify is it's a new platform whereby we have AI recommendation engines to optimize your energy choices according to your preferences. So, for example, if you would let us know that you prefer to just get the cheapest price all the time, or you want the greenest energy all the time, what we do is that within our ecosystem, we switch it for you and to optimize your preferences. So you don't even need to lift a finger. But of course, we also give another type of consumers a choice to enter a manual mode. So there's like auto mode and manual mode, whereby we can present to you perhaps the 5 best offerings, and you can make the choice as well.
I just have one quick question about infrastructure, taking a step back.
Sure.
We have the main grid, we have our microgrids. How involved is your company going to be in the future of connecting the actual microgrids in the main grids? It's a huge challenge, and it seems like it's a huge barrier to entry right now for you guys.
Well, yes and no. So let me give you a little example, right? There was, so there's a case study, this was done out in the US, and then these guys basically, so I'm not going to mention the brand, or the name of the company. What they did basically was they canvassed the neighborhoods in New York to find which neighborhoods had the highest chance of having solar panels and so on. And what they did next was to go down on the ground, door to door, find the people with panels, then talk to the neighbors to say, hey, would you buy power from that guy across the street? And that's what they did. Now, that formed the microgrid, right? There are many, many microgrids, obviously. But to integrate them all, this is infrastructure as a business. To be honest, we're not infrastructure as a business. In the energy industry, we'd be what they call downstream. We're customer facing. And we can only solve the problem at our level with the customer in terms of that engagement. And we do that bloody well, right? To go upstream, I think it's going to be too much hubris to say that, hey, we're going to solve everything and do it for everybody. And one day I'm going to be Optimus Prime. That's not going to happen. So that is a hardware problem. What our solution is based on process, is based on software. So even if there's a microgrid sitting somewhere in Singapore, for example, right, in some neighborhood in Singapore, they could still use Electrify to trade in this fashion. They could still do it. So that's not a problem. The physical infrastructure has its limitations, and that will be dealt with by maybe another ICO that deals with infrastructure instead.
Are you looking to partner with anyone in that respect? Because it seems like you're gonna run across this challenge with scale.
Yeah, we definitely are. So like when I showed that slide about Japan, the biggest power company in Japan, so their investment arm reached out to us and said, look, we want to talk about projects for Japan. What can we do with your technology, right? So we're looking first at marketplace. The opportunity for Japan is huge. Singapore's got 27 retailers for electricity. Japan's got 400 and counting, right? Singapore's got 1 master grid for all Singapore. Japan's got 10 across the islands. So that is opportunity, right? So these guys are upstream guys. They're a power company, and they're looking at downstream interests. Somewhere in between, we're gonna hook up, and we're gonna do something incredibly different.
So as a exchange in Japan, we've seen a few guys like you, right? And I think my question is, why you, right? And actually, if you guys go, the more downstream you go, the more user acquisition cost and change in user behavior, and all these things are very difficult.
Yes.
Right, and especially in a foreign market like Japan, where there's already people who are trying to do something very similar to you, and who the reason why I know it, they come to us and say, can you list it on my exchange? So how do you guys look at that?
So what kind of exchange are you referring to? Is it the retail electricity marketplaces?
I've met B2B guys as well who do for small businesses, and I actually think that's a much more efficient channel to do. There's retail guys as well.
Okay, so I think the difference, in my opinion, is that we are a marketplace for retail energy, which is commercial suppliers. So currently in the market, in Japan and Singapore, and in most liberalized markets, there are private companies that supply electricity to both businesses and homes. So that's what we call a retailer. So a retailer can serve both businesses and home consumers. That's what we do today already. What we're doing, because in our background, we came from energy trading companies. So we understand how developed grids settle CFDs, trading of energy lots and energy futures very well. What we're trying to do is to bring that level of accessibility and tools down to the consumer level. And that is a bit challenging, but if you're able to do it, it's very, very scalable.
Absolutely. After working with consumers for so many years, I'm telling you, it's a very big challenge for you, especially in such a nascent industry such as this. And I'm telling you, after hearing you guys speak and understanding the software play, I see this more as a plug-in to the legacy offerings in terms, as far as the grid offerings are concerned.
That's right.
And without actually having to lose that focus with the consumer, because the consumers aren't there right now. They just don't care. Well, I mean, they care, but they have other things to do. That's what I'm saying, is they wake up and accept 5% and move on about their day. But as far as the B2B side is concerned, I see that as being a huge opportunity for you both.
Exactly. So to address that really quickly, right, the B2B side is a huge opportunity, and we're not neglecting that, right? Like in Singapore today, for example, the commercial industrial sector, that constitutes 75% of consumption out of Singapore. So that's a lot. So we're not neglecting it. In fact, that's how our business got started, right? But we do realize that there's going to be mass adoption. Now, you're absolutely right. We should look at a plug-in play, and that's our position, and that's how we got to market so quickly as well. We founded the business in March, late March. We went to market, full launch, full work, software, contracts. We had 12 retailers on board, and that's one-to-one discussing with retailers, going through their lawyers, everything, software launched, tested, and all in under 3 months. We did all of that. So we did it by plugging in. We did it by looking at how their business models work, and then we addressed it by changing our processes to fit them. So we plug into them, and we have to, because two things. The generation companies, the power companies, let's be very honest, they're not known for being innovative, right? They're monolithic. One big block, slab, boom, I make power, that's me, thank you very much, right? But they don't engage. So what we do is to become the face for energy, hence Electrify. We're a marketplace, we're inclusive. We go to all these players and we said, hey, we're a marketplace, they'll take your product to market, maybe better than you. Because they wait for people to come. We don't. We go out and we engage. So for example, right, if you look online, you pull your phones right now, go search for Singapore, best electricity, cheap electricity, choose electricity, whatever electricity, right? We rank #1 on everything. So these are the things that we've done to look at end user engagement. Because the industry needs that. Otherwise, all of you, you're right. You wake up, you pay that 5, 10, 20% extra because you can afford it, you don't want to think about it, and that's right. But no one came to talk to you about it. No one came and had a conversation. When's the last time anyone from any power company came and talked to you? Apart from you, right? When's the last time someone came and said, how are the lights at home? How's the oven working, right? Any blackouts on your computer? Nobody. We do. We had digital agencies come looking for us, to talk to us, to pitch us, because why? In Singapore right now, no one else is having conversations about power except the government, the press, maybe, and us. That's it. No one else is talking about it. That's why.
Great stuff.
Anything else we can answer? Anybody? Any
I
questions?
just got one question.
Please.
Because I'm still kind of confused. So am I buying my electricity now from Electrify and not going to SP Power?
Okay,
Because I'm trying to figure out the role.
yeah, so if you operate a business in Singapore today, you can buy from a private retailer. But if you are living in a home in Singapore, you are not allowed to until next year. So the government is opening up the market next year in Singapore. But in some of the other countries in which we
No,
accept,
what I'm talking about, just not in Singapore, I'm just like, your guys' role, is it, like, I think that's what they're doing. So eventually am I going to, hey, it's cheaper, it's all awesome, so I'm going to be having my bill come from Electrify?
Oh yes. Yes. Okay. Let me address it really quickly, right?
Because I'm getting both, I'm getting mixed,
All right,
mixed
that's
signals the whole
really
time.
What happens for your home use, right? A year from now, when the market fully liberalizes and everybody at home can buy power, everyone who's living in Singapore right now, you're all going to come to Electrify.Asia and you're going to buy power from Electrify.Asia.
So I'll get a bill from you guys.
For Electrify Black, the next module, yes.
Okay. So then they ask all the consumer adoption.
Okay, is there anything else we can answer for you?
We have some time for a few questions, so if there are some questions among the audience to the guys, okay?
So what, in the
I
meantime,
had
right?
one comment then, because now
Please.
it came up because I'm from Canada and they did, VoIP lines are like, $5, where the local telco is charging $50 for it.
Yep.
But people still don't switch, even though, like I did. So what I'm saying is that a mental, psychological barrier that people just don't want to do? So how do you guys overcome that, right? Because none of my friends switch. I'm like, why are you paying $40 a month for a phone line when you can get it for $5?
So there are, I mean, we studied the consumer market quite in depth. So there are many different types of consumers. Of course, there'll be guys like you, a bit more savvy, always looking to optimize your choices. But there are also other guys that either are too lazy or maybe that savings doesn't really matter too much to them. So what we're doing, we try to address.
Wouldn't that be the bigger pie? Because like I said, I'm a minority, like very niche in that the guy who switched.
Yeah. So I think it's sort of a cultural thing. So in different parts of the world, in Asia, maybe in Singapore versus the rest of Asia, it could be slightly different. So this is something that, I mean, to be very honest, the entire energy industry is trying to forecast what's going to happen. What's the average Singaporean like, or what's the overall group of Singaporeans, what's the split of different personalities. So, but not to go into too much detail. What we do is that we prepare for both. So we have a platform for guys that just want the cheapest. So and they also want full control. So that's Electrify Black on the manual mode, whereby you recommend to them and say, hey, these are 5 cheapest options for your next switch. So please tap one to decide which one you want. Or the guys that are a bit more lazy, we optimize it for them. But that we also understand that it takes a few rounds of switching to gain trust in our AI engine.
I guess the thing is not the tech, or I'm echoing it was Eric, right? The thing is like I'm just going back to like real life example.
Yeah.
You can say switch, the technology's this, they just don't give a shit.
Yeah.
So how do you get past that? That's what I'm saying. And maybe there is no answer, right? And you gotta try to scramble it, but that's all I'm asking.
There's no answer. It's
Okay.
user behavior and user acquisition costs.
Bingo. There is no real answer, but one of the biggest things we've identified really is a matter of education, right? If you don't know about it, you don't know it's out there, you can't go get it. And that's a very, very big problem. It happens in a lot of different markets as well. If you look at UK, for example, they switched a long time ago, right? A lot of people have actually switched out onto the private retail and so on, but they've got other sets of problems, pricing fluctuations and everything else between the big 6 guys and all the other independents and so on, right? But the government started educating the people years ahead of liberalization. I think there was a 3-year campaign, right, to educate and teach people what was going on, why they should switch, what's the benefits, and so on and so forth. And I understand and I get it that there are all these challenges, but liberalization is a good thing. It's democratization.
I don't think any of us deny that. I think we're all just saying is like, how do you get past that? Like I said, maybe there is no answer, and it's just
There's going to be a few multi-tiered kind of different strategies, different groups of people. Like we're working with group aggregation, for example. So we go to there are organizations in Sing with large membership bases. We look at whole entire group aggregation for everybody to come on board and we'll switch you out in one bulk order. So we do things like this. But that's all go-to-market strategy. That's all GTM, how we do acquisitions and so on. But we can have a long conversation about this. Happy to.
Are you looking long term, or are you looking for a quick exit? It
Long
seems
term, man. Long term. Long term.
I don't know. I don't get that. I don't get that. I really don't.
How come?
Because I think that you have an opportunity here to really be an underlying plug-in for a lot of the national grids around Europe, etc., not just Singapore, using this as your test market, obviously, but you have an opportunity in the next probably 9 to 12 months to have an exit if you play your cards right. I think if you go down a consumer route, you're probably asking for a lot more headache than necessary, and that's my opinion.
I would agree. You're very strong in your presentation of B2B. You're very strong in your presentation of B2B, and I understand you aggregating large groups of folks. But you also spoke earlier on playing to knocking on doors, and really scaling that, brother. I would say you have strength in B2B, and just focus on your strengths.
And where the money is.
Okay, we absolutely agree with you. Absolutely. We know that the money, the big revs are going to be in the B2B business. We know that. But we can't neglect the B2C business. Because that's a big chunk. It's greenfield. It's open season. Nobody's playing that space right now. We've got to go there and take and demonstrate that we're present. And that's going to be really, really key. It will cost, but we've got to get it done.
Okay, I'll give one example, because just going back and forth is, we go back to music before. No one wants to pay even $10 a month to Spotify, right? Because it's coming out of their pocket. But the consumer, going back to my telecom example, is okay losing $45 a month because they're not actually paying. They're like, fine, I'm just paying $45 more than $5. So that's I think what we're going to is like, there's just this messed up mentality that
Exactly,
I'll pay
right.
$45 more for my utility, but I don't want to dish out another $10 a month where I can save that $45 and buy Spotify, but I don't. So I think that's what they're saying is that why go down that consumer route when it just seems like there's a psychological barrier when you can just solve a bigger problem?
I think the point is, if it's B2B, you really don't need a blockchain-based smart contract distributed. And that's why they're going for the big play, right? So you're gonna raise a lot of money, you're gonna spend on marketing, you're gonna try to boil the ocean, and you're gonna real big. That's how I look at it. If it's B2B, I mean, there's other people doing it.
So the space, right? You have to address that. Right? So about people not wanting to spend the money, it was a 5-minute prezzo, so we kind of gone through the rest. There are other monetizing models built within Electrify Black, like the data we gather, for example, how we can monetize that data. We're going to get utility usage data of every single last person that comes on the board platform. We'll know spending details, payment details. We can monetize that. So that's another layer to look at. So that didn't go into the prezzo because, well, we didn't have the time.
It should have.
Well,
Because the reference data is what matters.
understood. We'll work that in, right?
So we do have, if you go to our website, we have a white paper and a technical white paper. So a lot more detail in a technical white paper.
I just want to say, I invest in people anyway. What people think their business is versus what it becomes a year or two later is always completely different. So as long as you guys are committed, as long as you guys are in for the long run, you're going to figure out what the market wants, and you guys seem to have the energy and say, I'm looking for people that are in it for the long run, and you guys just seem to really want to solve this problem. You'll figure out what the problem is.
Definitely. So just a closing statement anyway, just share a bit more about the origin of the word Electrify Black. So we talked about it because of the phrase, once you go black, you never go back.
Thanks. Applause, guys. It was great.
One last thing. John, our guy down there, we're gonna hand out, whoever's interested, we got tokens, right? Free tokens. And they look kind of like fists, right? So we're gonna hand them out. We've got a whole bunch of them. We've got like a few hundred of these. Oh yeah, there we go. I don't want to throw it into the crowd, but please look for us. We'll pass you one. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks. Just keep going.